What's going on, guys? Winter Kills here, coming at you again with sort of a later in the day upload than usual. Partially because I've been pretty behind the past couple of days when it comes to videos in general, but this matchup took a while to edit strictly because of the one deck that is on the right. As you guys may have realized, this deck has never been on the channel before, Prank Kids that is. So I'm very excited to have it on the channel now, but I did not expect it to be this much of a pain to edit, strictly because of all the life point changes that this deck brings along with it, with the effects of Lampseas and Dropseas, with all the life point changing that they allow. So we're getting started off with a Pandemonium here on the Prank Kid side of things. And then going into the level 5 fusion, the Rocket Ride, and then using the effect of Roxy's to banish and draw and to special summon, and then using Fansies to foolish and summon, and then linking here into, I believe, the copy of Bow Wow, and he'll be gaining 1,000 here off of the Dropseas and burning his opponent for 5 off of the Lampseas. So already lots of life point changes happening, and still resolving the effects in Grave here of Lampseas and Dropseas to be able to summon Prank Kid's monsters from his deck. This deck has a lot of things it does. It's a very hard deck to play, and often takes a while to pull off plays, strictly because there's so many things you can do. There's so many play lines. You have 4 different main deck monsters consisting of Fansies, Lampseas, Dropseas, and Roxy's, which all have different effects if they're sent to the graveyard for fusion or link summons of Prank Kid's monsters. Roxy's, of course, is to banish a card from your hand and draw, and then special summon a Prank Kid's monster from your hand or deck in defense position except itself. Lampseas burns for 5 to special. Dropseas allows you to gain 1,000 to special, and Fansies allows you to foolish any Prank Kid's card from your deck to the graveyard to be able to special summon any Prank Kid's monster, of course, other than itself. So tons of things this deck can do, and the effect that he just used there was off of the Dodo Doodle Doo, which basically allows it to tribute itself to add 2 Prank Kids cards with different names, except link monsters from your grave back to your hand. He sets 2 and then follows up with the normal summon of Danko Sekka, so he's actually not under the effect of Danko Sekka. Actually, neither player is under the effect of Danko Sekka. A bit of a weird normal summon to make there. I guess just extra board presence at this point. But looks like he's going to activate the effect of Bow Wow here in the main phase to be able to add 2 back to the hand, it would look like. Yeah, target 2 Prank Kid cards with different names in your graveyard, except link monsters, add them to your hand. And then Prank Kid's monster control cannot be destroyed by battle or your opponent's card effects this turn. So yeah, Doodle and Bow Wow sort of doing the similar things, tagging out to add back resources, which is seemingly pretty good. But Astrograph Sorcerer, not Astrograph, luckily, Chronograph Sorcerer getting activated on the other side. Another Chronograph in hand to follow up, summoning out that Magician to be able to go into none other than Heavy Metal Foe's Electromite, to be able to try and get some Pendulum plays started here. Going to be dumping a Dark Worm, King Dragon Dark Worm, to the extra deck to be able to, then proceed with Electromite's second effect. I would assume here to be able to pop something to add back a card, or to draw a card as well. So actually going to be sending, no, not Harmonizing Magician, but going for the Dark Worm. Now using the other effect of the Electromite, first placing the Gate 0 into the scale to add back Dark Worm to draw an additional card since a card was destroyed. Following up with a normal summon of Dark Worm, and I assume that he's going to be playing 2 copies of Gate 0, which to me seems a bit unorthodox for a Pendulum build. I feel like that's a card they'd only want to play 1 of, but I guess since it's mainly just pure Pendulum Guardragon, that playing 2 of those wouldn't seem like such a bad idea, since it is a 0 scale as well, which can come in very clutch. So you're going to be able to search that there, no problem. But still has to deal with the 2 set cards, suspicious set cards from the side of the Prank Kids player, and also just dealing with the sheer surprise factor of playing against a deck that this person has, I don't think, ever played against before. So Pendulum Call is going to be activated here to grab Harmonizing Magician and Black Fang Magician, as it would seem. but this will protect his scales, I believe, until the end of the next turn from destruction by card effect, which is pretty strong if you're a Pendulum player. That's a very good thing to have. You want to make sure your Pendulum scales can't be destroyed. Purple Poison and Black Fang coming down. He'll Pendulum Summon into 2, Harmonizing Magician and the Gate 0, and it looks like we'll see a Pandemonium being flipped up, the Quick Play Fusion spell that will allow him to fusion on his opponent's turn, fusioning for none other than the Battling Butler, the Battle Butler, which, if it is Fusion Summon, you contribute this card to destroy all monsters your opponent controls. If this card is in your possession sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, you can target one non-fusion monster in your graveyard, special summon it. You can only use this effect of Pranket's Battle Butler once per turn. So the first effect there being used, where if it is fusioned, or just not even if it's fusioned, just quick effect, just a tribute to Raigeki the field. So he will activate in sequence all of those effects of Fansies, Dropsies, and Lampsies. So being able to burn and gain 1,000, and also being able to Foolish to special as well. So being able to summon 3 monsters during his opponent's turn, as well as blowing up his entire field just after that Pendulum Summon. So that is going to prove to be a bit of a roadblock, definitely a bit of an interruption there. But using Black Fang Magician now to destroy itself, to have the attack of the Danko Sekka, to be able to use its other effect to summon out that Jackal King from the graveyard, because when it is destroyed, it can summon any Dark Spellcaster monster from your graveyard. And of course, the Jackal King does fit the bill there. And now just trying to recover after having your entire board wipe, the mighty Master of Magic himself being played in the scale to give Jackal King 2 counters, all while at the same time debating on whether or not to use his Purple Poison Magician to boost it by 12, opting not to, and be able to swing over that Danko Sekka, whose attack is currently cut in half. So he'll attack over for 1550, dropping him down to 8450 to his 7000. Pranked still definitely leading here via life points. I believe that card he just put at the bottom of his deck was left there on accident when shuffling or searching. So just placing that back to the bottom. And main phase 2 now, we might see some shenanigans. He did add back some cards the previous turn. And yep, looks like we're going to see the activation of the Prank Kid's plan, which will basically allow you to immediately after its effect resolves, link summon a Prank Kid's Link monster during your main phase. During the main phase, it says. So going to be able to flip that up here in main phase 2 to be able to link summon during the opponent's turn and go for the Doodle. And then it looks like we'll see him activate the effect of Roxy's as Chainlink 2 to banish and draw, and then use the effect of Doodle, I believe, on summon to be able to add a Pranked spell or trap, which is a pretty good effect anytime you get to get effects off of just summoning and you're searching. Very complicated engine, Pranked. I was watching this duel off to the side. I'm just thinking there's literally so many effects going on. It must be very overwhelming at times to play a deck like this. I just can't imagine it. It looks like a pretty fun deck to play, though. I can't imagine that. I think both players discussing a discrepancy the Pendulum player had about the Danko Sekka regarding whether or not he could even flip up the Pandemonium or the plan in the first place, because of Danko's clause where it says if you control no set cards, you cannot set or activate cards that are set. But that is only a live effect if you control no set cards, which he set 2 cards first and then normal summoned the Danko. So that's why he was still able to activate those effects. So now getting to resolve the Doodle here to add a copy of Pranked's Place, the field spell for the deck, which is a pretty strong field spell. It says when this card is activated, you can add 1 Pranked's monster from your deck to your hand, and then once per turn, if you fusion summon a Pranked's fusion monster, you can have all monsters you control gain 500 attack. Even if this card leaves the field once per turn, if you link summon a Pranked's Link monster, you can have all monsters your opponent controls lose 500 attack. So a lot of attack manipulation there with Place. And then the Pendulum player will pass turn over to the Pranked's player and start off with the Pranked's House. So he's going to start off by activating and add a Pranked's monster from his deck to his hand. No problem there. And basically doesn't have much opposition going into this board. The only thing he's got to worry about is that Purple Poison Magician, which can boost up his Jackal by 1200. if it does decide to battle, or if he does decide to battle it. So they'll get the 2 more counters on the Jackal. And then he's going to use Dropsies here and the effect of Lampsies to gain 1,000 and burn for 500. Of course, after Link summoning that Bow Wow, it would look like. Now just debating on what else to do here. Might see the effect of Doodle to tribute to add back 2, but we'll see a copy of Pandemonium to be able to fusion into the Weather Washer. And that will proc the effect of Place to be able to boost all monsters he controls. Not just Prankins monsters, but all monsters he controls by 500 since he did fusion. So now all monsters able to get over the Jackal King, which is currently sitting at 24, and he actually cannot use the Black Fang Magician here like he tried to, because Weather Washer says that if your Prankins monsters attacks, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects until the end of the damage step, which would prevent the Black Fang or the Purple Poison Magician from being able to activate in the first place, because that has to activate in the battle step. So he'll take 100 there and then follow up with an additional 5,000 to the face from both the Bow Wow and the Doodle, swinging in, both being boosted up by 500, of course, from that field spell. Bring him down to 1,400 to the Prankins player's 9,450. That pesky 50, as it were. So now going to tribute the Doodle here to add back 2, adding back the Pandemonium and I believe the Lampsies back to the hand. It's hard to tell what they are at some points just because some of the colors look pretty similar. Since I have to watch this video at a lower quality while I do the commentary, or else the video would lag, making it very difficult for me to do commentary over. So it doesn't help my case a little bit there. But regardless, Prankins player passing over to Pendulum. Not much to do if you're the Pendulum player. He actually mixes up where his Pendulum monster is supposed to go. The Aether should be in the main monster zone, while the Cerberus or the Jackal King should be in the extra monster zone there. So a bit of a mistake. Neither player catches it, though, so just accepted game state at this point. Of course, me, the overseeing, all-knowing, watcher of the duel here after the fact, can catch this and point it out. But, of course, both players have, the responsibility to keep the game state in a proper state. And then when things like this happen, it is just, it's just water under the bridge at that point. So using the effect of Bow Wow there to add back 2, so he doesn't lose it, so he can get at least the cards he needs back off of it. So going into a Link or an XC summon for Naruto, the Moral Leader, and tries to swing over the Weather Washer, but will use its effect to tribute to summon 2, summoning Doodle and Bow Wow. It's just too much for the Pendulum player at this point. He's going to scoop it up and head into game 2. And as we do that, I want to mention a quick shout out to our sponsor over at Imperium Duelist. A link to their website can be found in the description below, as well as that discount code WinnerKills10 off you can use to save 10% off your entire order on some amazing playmats, sleeves, and more. Polymerization to get started off into the Rocket Ride by sending the Fansies and the Dropsies to be able to gain 1,000 to special and be able to Foolish to special, going for Lampsies and Roxies, tagging out the Rocket Ride for the Dropsies and Fansies, and now linking the Roxies and the Lampsies for a copy of Bow Wow, and then going to use the effects of the Lampsies and the Roxies first to be able to banish and draw. Droll Knockbird being activated a bit early there, banishing an invocation, surprisingly enough, after the draw off of Lampsies, or Roxies, that is, and now being able to special summon the Fansies, and then using the effect of the Lampsies here after, of course, burning for 500 to summon another copy of Dropsies. So this is a deck that can actually make totally awesome because of Lampsies, or Dropsies being level 2 Aqua monsters. So pretty cool synergy there. Now linking the other 2 Prankins away for a Bow Wow, a second copy of Bow Wow, it looks like, and going into a totally awesome to follow it up. So a pretty solid board there, if you ask me. He's got 2 tag outs, or I believe 1 tag out, since I don't think you can tag out both of them. But still, nonetheless, a pretty good board to start, if you ask me. Getting started with Master Cerberus to be able to get some Pendulum play to start, after to destroy itself to add Jackal King, the usual go-to play. And we'll see that Bow Wow being chained on the activation to be able to add back 2 Prankins monsters, or Prankins cards, I believe, except Link monsters, back to his hand. He's going to grab the Jackal King there, of course. And surprising enough, that Droll Knock Bird actually didn't look like it hurt our Prankets player too much at all last turn. Might have prevented him from getting a search, but I don't think so. Yeah, it's just it didn't even look like it bothered the Prankets player at all, because he actually didn't make Doodle because he would have been able to get a search there, but just making a second Bow Wow, I'm assuming that's why. And then Jackal King, of course, destroying itself to be able to summon out the Master Cerberus. Pendulum player goes into battle phase to swing over the Totally Awesome for 600, 28 to 600, and then playing Harmonizing and I think Zhangxi Magician in the Pendulum scale to be able to get Master Cerberus up to 4 counters. He's going to banish the Bow Wow. Can't tag it out since he already did that earlier. Now, this is where a big mistake happens between both players. This is why a little heads up. And this is why I still want to upload this, because this is a public service announcement for all you duelists out there who don't keep track of the current game state and life points, etc., etc. A perfect example of why. Now, Master Cerberus says that it can banish a monster opponent controls. It gains attack equal to the monster banished until the end of the opponent's next turn. So Master Cerberus is still at 4,800 because Bow Wow has 2,000. Pandemonium starting things off, though. Dropsies and Lampsies being able to activate here to gain 1,000 special and burn the opponent again for an additional 500 special as well. And the Rocket Ride, of course, is on the board. Summoning going to probably be Roxy's and Fansies. There they are. Summoning out monster effects that he hasn't used yet. Now tagging out the Rocket Ride to summon out the Dropsies and the Lampsies. Linking the Fansies and the Roxy's. Oh boy, this is a fun deck to commentate over. Let me tell you, I'm just saying. Lampsies, Dropsies, Famsies, like all this crazy stuff. But anyways, Doodle being activated. And that is going to add place, of course, after he activates the effects of Fansies to Foolish Burial to summon. And then I believe Roxy's now getting ready to activate. The deck is being cut, banishing another copy of Roxy's from hand to draw a card. And then adding a Pranked Spell or Trap from deck to his hand. So summoning out that Dropsies there. Thinking on a might have been Pandemonium, but looks like adding Prankid's Prank from his deck to his hand, which is a continuous spell that allows him to discard summon Prankid's token. Not choosing to activate, though, that right now. Linking into a Link 4, getting rid of all Prankid's monsters on the board for none other than Mr. Borlo Dragon himself. Now, this is where the effect of Cerberus's lingering effect comes into play here that they didn't remember. Master Cerberus should be at 48. He did not use the drop effect of Borlo. Swinging in for 48 and 2,000 should drop him to 200, but both players forgot the additional attack gain that it had, which he would be at 200 right now, which he is at 22 in their world, basically. And that allows him to activate this Unending Nightmare to pay 1,000 to destroy that Prankid's plan, or Prankid's Prank, and basically buys this Pendulum player more time to play. So always keep track of your life points. Always remember your Master Cerberus attack lingers until the opponent's next turn, until the end of the opponent's next turn. So that 2,000 damage he should have taken there would have come in pretty clutch there, because he wouldn't have been able to activate that Unending Nightmare, because you need 1,000 life points to begin with to be able to activate it. But now it can actually cause a bit of pandemonium, if it were, as it were, to be able to blow up some back row. But now being able to link into Electromite as well, using, of course, the Gate Zero and one other card there, I believe. Not sure exactly what the other card was, but Master Cerberus still staying on the field of the Prankets player until the end of this turn, and then it will be sent to the graveyard. Grabbing Astrograph off of the, or sending it to the extra deck off the Electromite, and then blowing up the Harmonizing Magician, as it would seem. Nope, the Zhangxi Magician, to be able to add it to the hand. It'll proc its own effect to summon the Astrograph or the Chronograph, and it'll draw a card as well. And then linking into an LP, and now going into a Triple Burst Dragon with the Electromite and one other card to try and start some Guardragon plays. Which, if he had 200 life points at this point, I think all these plays are still possible. The only thing that remains different is that the plan is still on the field, or the Prankets Prank is still on the field, and he's still able to, you know, resolve its effect, get a token if he wants to, maybe try to burn for another 500, but he still has Doodle on the field as well. Aether is going to try to banish that on the summon after Elpie, and that is going to go through. Not going to tag there, but now going into Pain, the Guardragon. Literally just call it Pain, because that's all it brings is Pain, summoning the Hot Red Archfiend, or Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, linking the Elpie and the Pain for none other than the Hermetic Spheres. Now another hot cheat happens here. A little spicy hot cheat. Misreading the very first sentence of Hermetic Spheres, which says basically once per opponent's turn. So he uses the effect of spheres on his own turn, which he technically cannot do. Which, surprisingly enough, with all these things that have gone unnoticed, Prankid's still in a very good position. Nonetheless, using Prankid's Plan Engrave in the damage step, the attack modification, and that Jackal, or that Cerberus, which is at 28, and that Hot Red, which is swinging in at 32, he's going to be able to banish. I believe he ends up banishing 10 because I think he had enough for a game. At least he thought he did, trying to shuffle in 15 cards. I think Pot of Avarice or Jar of Avarice is good. Talk about Prankid's plan. Shuffling back 15 here he could have. But I believe he ends up to shuffle back 10, which will drop Hot Red by 1,000, making him take 800. Or making him take a drop by 1,000. And then he will take that, bring him to 22, and Master Cerberus at 28. So it only takes 600, dropping him down to 600. And then end phase, that Cerberus will be sent because of that Borreload effect resolving. And now Terraforming being played here, grabbing none other than a copy of Place. And I think the Pendulum player actually realizes here the hot cheat that he made regarding the spheres. Realizing that he can actually only use it once per opponent's turn, so he should never actually been able to use it next turn anyways. But nonetheless, Prankid's still going strong here. Instant Fusion for Rocket Ride, gladly playing the 1,000, paying the 1,000 life points there to go into it. And he uses the bounce effect to tribute to bounce, and picks up the card and now reads it. And I think this is where he might realize the effect actually. I mean, bouncing it really doesn't make too big of a difference, and it also doesn't target, so another card should be bounced as well. But yeah, nonetheless, just scooping it up there as the Pendulum player because he's already made a bit of a hot cheat and a pretty big misplay there and regarding the life points. The game should have ended a lot earlier than that, but wanted to leave it in there just to show you guys a lesson, and a PSA. I mean, I've done it before, I'm guilty of it, but it's just sometimes it's hard to keep a steady mind, a calm mind, to make sure you can keep track of everything that's going on, be aware of your surroundings, etc., etc. It can happen to anybody, but yeah, no fault there to the players. Huge shout outs to them for being on the feature match at locals and everything. So, and also very exciting to be able to get Prankids on the channel as well. So hope you guys enjoyed that matchup there. Nonetheless, join Discord, check out Imperium Duelist, follow me on Twitch, etc., etc. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to kill the signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one.